Introducing Future Ready Schools. So, what is Future Ready Schools? It is an initiative that is helping educators that are innovative, making sure that students achieve productivity, they're compassionate and responsible citizens. Secondly, it makes sure that district and school leaders um, provide their students with empowering learning opportunities that are not only flexible but rigorous and equitable. Thirdly, they focus on leadership and they want to create visions for student outcome. Now, nowhere in this description does it really talk about technology, but more so the fact that they emphasize using a research based framework that allows for instruction to be equitable. And in most circumstances, we find that digital equity also plays a part in this. So, not only do they have a description, but they also have what they call the FRS way, the Future Ready Schools way. And regardless of where a student lives, Future Ready Schools believes that every child must graduate from high school, first of all, and also must have these implementations. Student centered learning environment, they need to have learning experiences, and that these learning experiences are much more technology driven. So, this is kind of where the tech starts to come in here. Work based opportunities that tap into their interests. Um, Fourth, we have, again, research based strategies that are given by qualified professionals. And lastly, um, allowing them to have a wide variety of options to explore, which allows them to achieve post secondary success, college, community college, trade schools, etc. So, the first step that I took while looking at Future Ready Schools was looking at what I'll call these key initiatives and how they support student centered learning. And the first is curriculum instruction and assessment. They are, as I wrote above, are very focused on student centered learning and that these experiences are authentic. Think project based learning, not just putting a pencil to paper, but allowing these students to experience their learning and become more passionate about it, giving them opportunities for real world applications. For example, I have a module assessment for math where we are learning about adding and subtracting fractions. And so I have the students bring in a recipe and they learn how to cut the recipe in half. They learn how to double the recipe. This also adds in multiplying and dividing fractions. But this is something that they'll actually need to be able to use, building these 21st century skills, providing them tools to master what they're going to need beyond the classroom. In personalized professional learning, it's important to recognize that not only are you making resources available to have shared ownership amongst the professionals in your field for professional growth, but also modeling what that looks like and being involved in that process. By giving all of your staff an opportunity to be involved, it takes educators and professionals from all levels and empowers them with the information to take it and apply it into their specific job or classroom. These opportunities are ongoing because learning never stops. While learning about infrastructure, I really see the consistency here for devices that are of higher quality. an internet bandwidth that is able to support the student learning not only at school but also at home, and making sure that there is tech support that allows, teaching to be maximized and learning opportunities to be maximized. You want to make sure that there is a tech plan in place that allows for review and replacement of hardware and software, because there's short and long term sustainability with a lot of these programs, as we see a lot of updating constantly happening. In order to support student centered learning, one of the other initiatives that Future Ready Schools looks at is budgeting and resources, making sure that the budget aligns with the plan to eliminate expenses that no longer support the vision of your school or district, making sure that there's always opportunities to be had to leverage efficiency as well as make cost savings in order to sustain the technology of the school. When it comes to community partnerships, you want to establish relationships with community members that support your school's culture or vision. You know, not only does this mean businesses and organizations, but also getting parents involved. Parents could have a lot of expertise in a certain field that is being applied in the classroom, and they can model some type of plan in order to introduce future partnerships. What are the steps that need to be taken? Are there letters that need to be sent out? Are there ways to get students involved, etc.? Another commonality I'm seeing across the standards and technology plans is data and privacy, and making sure that there are clear policies, procedures, and practices in place that are protecting our students at the highest level possible, and also adhering to the state and federal laws that are in place. We need to make sure that we are making decisions that are not only informed, but focusing on protecting our children. This was one of the key initiatives that took a little bit more time for me to truly have a grasp of, and that was the use of space and time, which the goal of it is to make sure, and there's a lot of consistency here, of research based strategies and research based learning, and making sure that the spaces that we're creating in our classrooms are done so that they are sensitive to and responsive to our students' needs. We need to be flexible. The spaces that we create need to be centered around our students, and ones that really give our students a little bit more autonomy in the classroom, and maybe a little bit more non traditional than we have previously seen. And their last key initiative in Future Ready Schools is collaborative leadership. And I think this also can play a part with community partnerships, because you need to collaborate, you need to develop and communicate and maintain the vision, and that can be done with the help of community partners. You need to make sure that student learning is personal and also authentic. Students shouldn't be afraid to take risks, and they should be empowered that it's okay to make mistakes and that we can learn and grow from them. In this collaboration role, it's important to be consistently planning, implementing, stepping back, reflecting, and seeing what's working, seeing what's not, and making sure that we are doing our best to ensure that we are giving our students high quality teaching and learning for the foreseeable future. Looking at my school, I deduced two strengths out of all the key initiatives. And the first is robust infrastructure. I saw this as a strength because we are constantly updating our softwares in our devices to make sure that they're working efficiently. We previously had a 5-year tech plan that scheduled when devices and other things were purchased and when they would likely expire and need to be replaced. Now, we also have a system with 100 megabytes per second, which is more than sufficient internet speeds to allow for testing to be done across the entire school. Another strength of ours is community partnerships. One of the tenets of our school is families as partners, and this is to allow productive partnerships in all aspects, and this is in and out of the classroom. We use Facebook as social media for engagement, and there's a group for parents on Facebook. We started using Parent Square last year as another form of communication where you can get emails sent as well as text messages, and those can be sent out immediately. We also have a connection with the Buck Foundation that we were able to acquire funding that purchased our new math curriculum as well as math fluency program. Next, I looked at areas where my school is growing or actively growing, and the first is curriculum instruction and assessment. With our new library media specialist, she has her master's degree. She's educated with most recent technology and resources. She's able to provide tools that are usable in the Chromebook for our students to be successful in our classrooms. And she's able to teach this to them in media. She teaches them life skills such as paraphrasing content when it comes to taking research notes and learning what copyright is and how to avoid that. Next area of growth is budget and resources. During our 2 days before school starts, our pre-service days, they were shared with us the entire budget breakdown, and so budget is very transparent. The resources that we have are extremely transparent, and it was explained in a very understandable way to us to help us understand that charter schools are given funds differently, so we need to ensure that our school is kept up to the standard because some resources are dependent on how well our school is performing as well as enrollment in our schools. Next area of growing is use of space and time. We have one teacher who grew up in the school and is currently teaching 6th grade at our school. She has a long but narrow space, but she has made it entirely open with the option of flexible seating. You work where you want if you get the work done, and that's kind of my philosophy in the classroom. The goal in use of space and time is to maximize student learning outcomes with non-traditional opportunities. Things like project-based learning. Instead of giving a paper test, giving students the opportunity to complete a project to show their learning. And last area where we're growing is our collaborative leadership. We have a tenet that focuses on student achievement. We use models such as responsive classroom to help sustain a high quality of teaching and learning. In order to do this, this requires refresher training. Teachers that have been teaching for 15, 20 years that were required to get this training as a first year may not remember all of the skills that they learned and have begun shifting to a so-so way of responsive classroom. So in August, we had a refresher course performed and given to us by one of our admin and another teacher. And I think that was something that the teachers had asked for, and admin responded by providing that to us. Lastly are some areas of improvement in my recommendations of what needs the most focus at my school. And the first is personalized professional learning. We have yet to receive any training in how to use our view boards to maximize their potential. When I got to the school, I learned as I went, and you can get trained in it as needed. Now that I have begun this master's program, my school is beginning to shed a light to some technology needs, and I have joined our IT committee, and I hope that I can make a difference in that area. I'd like to add ongoing opportunities for training refreshers and new training as needed. Our paras don't necessarily come in with all of the tech knowledge that we need them to have. And so being able to provide some type of training for them would be extremely helpful, especially for the classroom teachers. I was hesitant to put data and privacy here because my school is not performing poorly in this category, but it is an area for improvement. Students sign network guidelines that ask them to promise, to use it appropriately, and there's consequences. And to be frank, sometimes there can be little follow through with these consequences. So making sure that students are using it appropriately and that they understand that there are consequences when they don't. Our school uses data in decision making, things like choices on reading levels, math material that they're being taught, but sometimes the follow through isn't significant enough. And that's also dependent on our resources. So, doing our part to ensure that students, if they can't be provided in school what they need, by giving the parents resources to help support at home as well. The Future Ready Schools framework has proven to be one that can make a true difference in the classroom, and I look forward to bringing this to the table to my IT committee to see which focus areas we can bring to the table. Thank you.